a quicker start. As for the defense, Mike Daniels saying they are coming in with a chip on their shoulder. He told me they're sick of hearing about Ezekiel Elliott. I said, so how do you stop him? He quoted Mike Tyson. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. For more on Dallas, let's send it over to Chris Myers.
Aaron, how does rookie Dak Prescott, who says he doesn't get nervous, get ready for the biggest game of his life? Well, it begins with an intense pre-game workout routine that he's been doing all year, running, stretching, throwing. But he wants to work himself into a lather. He said, I want to be drenched in sweat as if I've already played the game before it kicks off. That's how I'm ready. It's worked all season long. His last words to his teammates before they came out through the tunnel: be yourself, have fun. Let's go back up to Joe and Troy.
Chris, Aaron, thank you. Spanish language broadcast available on both Fox Deportes and by utilizing SAP on our broadcast. Glad you're with us. The Green Bay Packers won the toss. They deferred, so that means we see number 4, who will try to be himself. And this place is alive and electric. Glad you're with us today on Fox. Here comes Dak Prescott, a Pro Bowler in his rookie year. And the passer rating 104.9. That was 3rd best across the NFL.
Well, the thing that's been so impressive about, a lot of things have been impressive about Dak Prescott this year, but he does a great job of protecting the football, and rarely when you watch him does he ever even put the ball in harm's way. He's very patient. You don't get as many big plays down the field, but he's very conscientious of where he throws the ball.
Elliott left side, cuts back. Burnett off the edge on the stop. Ezekiel Elliott, who led the National Football League with over 1,600 rushing yards, picks up 2. Here's the offense for the Dallas Cowboys and where they rank. They're 5th in both offensive points scored and defensive points allowed. And the rushing yards second to only Buffalo behind that terrific offensive line. 2nd and 8. Fake it to Elliott. They hits Terrence Williams, and Williams is going to scoot out of bounds with a first down. He had 4 catches in their previous meeting in week 6. All 4 went for first downs. And we'll look at this Green Bay Packers defense that is again without Quentin Rollins. What they've done over the last 7 games, a big reason why they're on this 7-game winning streak. They've taken it away 17 times to support what Aaron Rodgers is doing on offense.
Well, that would certainly help them in this ball game. The other thing that they've got to do a better job of is not giving up the big plays.
Lucky Whitehead was coming. Here's Elliott left side with his typical 6, 7, 8-yard gain. This one good for 7, and Clay Matthews is out there to make the stop. And nobody ran the ball more or more effectively on first down than Ezekiel Elliott. And it's been a very balanced attack for Jason Garrett's team.
Well, this is one of those runs, and it's how the Cowboys hurt them in the first matchup. You see Micah Hyde, 33. There's just nobody out there for contain. And time after time, back in October, we saw Ezekiel Elliott get on the perimeter, and he does here on this first possession.
180. Straight drop back, wide open, pass caught. Dez Bryant. Gunter will see a lot of Dez Bryant, and the first completion good for 13.
Well, complete breakdown in coverage. You see nobody goes to the flat, covers that area. I don't know if it's Ha-Ha, Clinton Dix or not, but they completely vacate the zone and give Dak Prescott an easy completion.
The drive started at the 25. It's already at the Green Bay 40. Play action. Prescott, Micah Hyde. And a big defensive play by Micah Hyde, who had 1 sack during the regular season, a loss of 6.
Excellent job by Micah Hyde coming off the edge, and as Jason Witten comes out to pick him up, he stops. Prescott thinks he's got to step up in the pocket. Hyde comes underneath that block and makes the sack.
Hyde has been so valuable for the Green Bay Packers. He's played some outside corner. He's played inside. He's played safety. And he comes on a blitz. Here's Beasley looking for blocks, getting blocks. And on a catch and run, Cole Beasley, who was the Cowboys' leading receiver this season, gets 14.
We're seeing the Cowboys, they're mixing things up. They got the quick passing game going with Dak Prescott. This is exactly how Scott Linehan opened it up the last time these two teams met. They run the football with Ezekiel Elliott, the play action passing game, and he has got it dialed up. And we saw the play by Micah Hyde, but outside of that, this Cowboys offense has the Packers on their heels.
3rd down and 2. Prescott. Bryant broke it up. Gunter got in there and he's hurt. And this is already a thin secondary for the Green Bay Packers. And when Ladarius Gunter got his hand in there, he got run into by Morgan Burnett.
And Morgan Burnett coming from the middle of the field, and boy, they're so thin already at the cornerback position coming into the game.
Bailey, the kicker, already on the field for Dallas.
This game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency.
Ladarius Gunter is on the bench, looks fine. Got over to the sideline with no issues. They're not even looking at him. He got that hit from his teammate Morgan Burnett. It broke up the pass that was intended for Des Bryant. That means that Dan Bailey, who is usually one of the most reliable kickers in the NFL, will have a little time, and he has had a little time to think about this 50-yard try. They give the Cowboys the first points of the game. Bailey, perfect. And now Mike McCarthy's offense will head to work. And as we said in the beginning, he's got the most dangerous weapon in the NFL, calling the signals. What he's done during this 7-game winning streak. Whether it's the completion percentage, the passing yardage, the touchdowns, no interceptions. This is a team that hasn't turned it over in 5 straight. And the quarterback rating is ridiculous. And I like what you said during the open. You were talking to Aaron as I was before the game, and you saw that look in his eye like he is feeling confident rolling into this one against Dallas.
Yeah, and like I said, there's no reason why he shouldn't be as confident as he is when you look at what he's been able to do here over the last really 8 ball games. When you go back to their last loss to the Washington Redskins, but he has been on fire, and he's got this team playing at an awfully high level. And I think that we go back to that first possession, Joe, of the Cowboys. That's a win for this Packers defense. I mean, they know that they're going to give up some yards, but if they can make the Cowboys settle for field goals at the end of those possessions, as hot as this offense has been, 5 weeks in a row, Aaron Rodgers and company have scored 30 or more points.
Bailey kicks it away at the end of a year where he set a career best for touchbacks with 57. And here comes Aaron Rodgers. It's been 285 pass attempts since his last interception, the longest streak of his career. And the Packers, during this 7-game win streak, have trailed for only a combined 26 minutes 8 seconds, and they're trailing here early 3-0.
It's really remarkable when you consider how well he protects the football, not just this year, but really every year, because a lot of times to protect the ball like that, you're sacrificing big plays. Not with Aaron Rodgers. He's giving you the big plays down the field, and yet he still is able to minimize the turnovers.
Rodgers looked right, then left, then middle, and finds Ty Montgomery, his running back, who gains 5 out to the 30. See where the Packers rank offensively over the last 5 games, what they've been able to do, scoring 35 points a game. They just put up 38 on a terrific New York Giants defense, and what they've done in total yards per game, but they're playing without their top receiver, Jordy Nelson, out with broken ribs.
So those 38 points last week against the New York Giants, they came after they had punted the first 5 times they had the football. That's how explosive this offense is.
Interesting formation on 2nd and 5, and it's Ripkowski who gets popped by Mayowa. Hitchens helped out, but the big defensive lineman Benson Mayowa was in there, and here's Aaron at his best. Hurry up offense down the sideline for Adams, incomplete, and there's a flag down. So Rodgers already catching the Dallas Cowboys trying to substitute. You see Mayowa, who just made that last play, 93, not able to get off the field.
Well, it's right in front of the Cowboys bench too, and I know in visiting with Sean Lee, and he said, yeah, you know, we're going
illegal substitution, 12 players on the field, defense. 5-yard penalty will result in a first down.
I was really surprised, Joe. Sean Lee says, yes, we are going to substitute, but we're going to be smart about when we do it. And I don't think there's ever a time to try to substitute from what we've seen over the years with Aaron Rodgers. And the very first time they tried to, Aaron is looking for that. He gets to the line of scrimmage and he catches them with 12 men on the field.
And it gives the Packers a first down by penalty.
They'll rethink their position on whether or not they're going to substitute against this guy.
And a timeout is taken by Dallas defensively. They're out of sorts coming off the bye week. Aaron Rodgers already caught him once. 3-0 Dallas. So Aaron Rodgers has already caught the Cowboys defense with too many men on the field, and then Dallas had to use a timeout. First down for Green Bay, trailing by 3. Montgomery left side cuts back, and Ty Montgomery out to midfield. Started the year as a backup wide receiver and now the featured running back.
Well, this is where Ty Montgomery has really excelled, as he's gotten more time running the football as the cutback. He's gotten more and more patient with the ball in his hands, and this is an element that this Cowboys team did not see the last time they met. Yes, Ty Montgomery was very involved as a receiver, caught a lot of passes in that game. Didn't have much of an impact as a runner. He's a much better player now.
15-yard carry. Quick setup and throw, and the pass is caught by Cobb. Randall Cobb down near the 35. Dangerous throw that was almost undercut. It's good for 16 yards.
It's a quick release by Aaron Rodgers, and you're right that there was a coverage coming underneath that throw, and if that ball was a little lower, Barry Church might have had an opportunity.
Cobb coming off a huge game against the Giants. Had missed the previous 2 with a bad ankle. Tied a playoff record with 3 receiving touchdowns against New York. Flags, free play. Rodgers, touchdown! Flags are down on the field. Sean Lee was back in coverage, and Richard Rodgers is good for the touchdown of 34 yards if it stands.
Well, Jared Cook, he's the
Offside.
X-factor.
Defense number 95. This penalty is declined. The results of the play, touchdown.
He's got the ability to stretch a defense up the seam, and he's got Sean Lee, who's in coverage, puts a good move on him, and then immediately Sean Lee is beat. Aaron Rodgers, knowing he had a free play, he was able to draw the Cowboys off sides. Cook is able to haul an underthrown ball in. That's an excellent job. So you've seen Rodgers now with a couple free snaps take his shots, and this time it pays off with a touchdown.
It's just next level thinking by Aaron Rodgers. What he does, getting his team to the line, hurrying the play, catching Dallas trying to substitute, and then getting him offside. Crosby adds the extra point. And it's Richard Rodgers getting a chance to celebrate here in Arlington, Texas, as the first touchdown of the game, and Mike McCarthy's squad up 7-3.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Nissan, innovation that excites, and by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Richard Rodgers has kind of been the forgotten guy. Only 7 catches over the previous 7 games. None last week against the New York Giants. And he's good for a 34-yard touchdown strike from Aaron Rodgers. And I know it's early, but the Green Bay Packers, as you said, Troy, just traded a field goal for a touchdown. Kneeled down by Lucky Whitehead. We go back to the touchdown. Rodgers to Rodgers.
Yeah, you're going to see verticals here with Davante Adams and then Richard Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is working off of Barry Church, and he's going to move and work towards Davante Adams, and then Aaron Rodgers, as you'll see, he is able to get Barry Church cheating that direction because of the look that he gives to Davante Adams, and once he gets him to move, he knows he's got one-on-one on the backside, and then they're able to take advantage of Richard Rodgers beating Sean Lee.
Second possession for Dallas. Elliott gets it. Picks up 5. Let's go back to that touchdown throw, and the ball goes right between the arms of Sean Lee into the waiting arms of Richard Rodgers.
That's great concentration by Richard Rodgers. The ball gets that close to a defender, being able to secure the catch. Not an easy play for him to make.
Second and 5. Play action. Prescott. His receiver falls down and may have been pushed or interfered with. Des Bryant. And a flag is thrown.
Holding, defense number 36. A 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That's Ladarius Gunner, who he's been lining up with Des Bryant, and he gets beat as Bryant goes to the post, and he's coming back out to the corner, and Prescott takes a big lick by Jake Ryan at the end of that play. It was good protection, but as Prescott was holding it, waiting on Bryant to come out of that break, you know, he had to hold it a little longer than he wanted to. Ladarius Gunner, expect to see that a good part of this ball game, and that should be a pretty good matchup in terms of what Ladarius Gunner does well in being a physical player.
Here's Elliott trying to get to the edge, shows his speed. He can run it inside, he can take it outside, and Demarius Randall there for the stop after a gain of 9.
Well, they just have not been able to solve the puzzle of not allowing Ezekiel Elliott to get on the perimeter. Demarius Randall, as you mentioned, Joe, he's the corner. He's got the outside contained, and he gets caught inside, and Elliott then is able to get on the edge and pick up a nice gain.
Got a hit to the helmet from Demarius Randall on that stop. 2nd and 1. There he is again, now inside, and he will push forward for a first down. And he says, feed me. That's become his signature move after a carry.
Well, they're going to feed him. I mean, only twice this year when he finished a game did he not have at least 20 carries in the ball game. So he doesn't have to be signaling to feed him over there at the sideline. He's going to get the ball.
He's got 5 carries for 25. Blitz. Cowboys pick it up. Pass is caught by Terrence Williams for a first down.
This is one of the things that I've been really impressed with Ezekiel Elliott here at tailback, and his ability to pass protect. That's an area where a lot of young running backs, most young running backs, they simply can't do it because they weren't asked to do it in college. He is an excellent pass protector. He's a complete running back.
Now the Cowboys hurry it up and hand it to Elliott, who just pushes that pile. It was Urban Meyer, the head coach at Ohio State, who coached Elliott in college, who told the Dallas Cowboys, Ezekiel Elliott is the best offensive player I've ever coached without the ball in his hands, and blocking and blitz pickup is a big part of that.
Yeah, and what that tells you, Joe, is that he's an unselfish player, because there's not a lot of those types of guys, but someone who takes as much pride in being able to protect as he does running the football. It says a lot about him as a guy.
Flag is down. Pass is caught by Williams. Wide open. But a flag is thrown. And now another on the far side of the field.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense. Number 19 came into the huddle as a substitute and did not participate and left the field. 15-yard penalty. Repeat, second down.
Wow, that's a costly penalty after a huge gain.
Mike Pereira, there's also a flag on the other side of the field, but first talk us through what Butler was guilty of.
Yeah, this is not an illegal substitution where you may come in just to the numbers and turn around, go back. If you actually enter the huddle and then leave the huddle without participating in the play, then it becomes unsportsmanlike conduct.
There he is, 19. Bryce Butler is all the way in the huddle and then comes out. And there was a flag on the far side of the field that they picked up down around the 20. I think Mike McCarthy is going to question the spot of the ball. Mike Pereira, Tony Corrente said it was a 15-yard foul. They marked it as a 5-yard penalty.
The question was about the enforcement of the penalty, whether it was a 5 or a 15-yard penalty. It is a 15-yard penalty, and it was only marked as 5. We will add the additional 10 yards before we put the ball in play.
And that was a catch by Mike McCarthy on the sideline, where instead of second down and 10, they marched the ball all the way back to the 48 of Dallas. That's a big mistake by Butler. Also erased the completion that was going to take the ball inside the 20.
Yeah, you think of where they would have the ball right now after that completion to Williams, and now they're faced with second and 20.
Prescott for Butler, broken up, and what a play by Micah Hyde. He's got a sack in this game, and now he makes a perfect play on that throw to Bryce Butler.
He really does, because initially it looked like he might try to undercut this ball when it was in the air. They may be able to come underneath it, and he stays up on the top shoulder, and he's able to make a play on it without going through the receiver. So already in this game, Micah Hyde has made some nice plays on the ball. And to reiterate what you said earlier, Joe, what a versatile player he has been. He made this team because he was a heck of a slot player off the edge as a blitzer, and he's had to wear a lot of different hats with all the injuries.
4 men on the rush, third down and 20. Prescott overthrows Butler, who was open for a moment. And what looked to be a promising drive, because of a penalty on Butler, stalls inside Dallas territory.
Wow, you look at the coverage on the back end, and you know, he had a chance. It was not going to be an easy throw for Dak. He airmails Bryce Butler in the middle of the field, but the time that he was afforded in the pocket and not being able to find anybody open.
So Jones to punt. With a fair catch back at the 10. That penalty on Butler, by the way, cost the Cowboys 37 yards of field position. Took away a 22-yard completion, went 15 the other way. Back to work, Rodgers up 4. Time the Dallas Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers have met in the postseason, and two greatest running backs in franchise history, Tony Dorsett and Emmitt Smith, the all-time career rushing leader, checking this one out as the Packers start from the 10 up by 4.
Oh, a lot of rushing yards between those two guys right there.
A lot of ex-Cowboys hanging around this stadium. Excited about the postseason. Worried about Aaron Rodgers. Ripkowski, the big fullback, carries it on first down and picks up 3.
You know, you look at the start of this game, Joe. I've always believed that the wild card team coming into the divisional game is a little more relaxed than that team that drew the bye. because they've already won. They've won in the postseason. They're feeling good, and now in a lot of ways the pressure's taken off. This team sat home last week and they got a chance to watch football, and then there's obviously big expectations, and to come out, we've seen some of the struggles, see what Green Bay's able to do on this drive, but it's kind of playing out that way, at least here in this first quarter.
2nd down and 7. Blitz coming late. Pass is for Cook, overthrown. After the Super Bowl, the clock resets for more 24. We've got a new day and a new hero. Corey Hawkins stars in 24 Legacy, premiering right after the Super Bowl Sunday, February 5th here on Fox. You get the bye week, and it's like pulling out of your driveway onto the Autobahn when you're taking on Aaron Rodgers. You better come out ready to go, because with as hot as he's been, he could put you away early if he gets smoking here in the first half.
Well, this will be a big 3rd down right here for this early in the game with this defense, and being able to make a stop inside the 15-yard line, get the ball back to their offense.
3rd down and 7. Rodgers flushed out. That's the way he likes it. What a throw to Cook. That's the tough part of Aaron Rodgers. He's flushed out of the pocket and throws a seed to Jared Cook.
Yeah, he loaded this one up too. He had some heat on this throw, and there wasn't really a whole lot there. I mean, Aaron just throws him right where he can make a play on that ball. Already in this game, we've seen Byron Jones in coverage. The ball that he missed to Jared Cook earlier, Brandon Carr was in coverage there, and he had beaten Brandon Carr, and so he's going to continue to be a factor in this game.
14 yards on 3rd and 7. Now Ty Montgomery with a nice run on 1st down.
You know, in this receiver position, Joe, when you look at the fact that they don't have Jordy Nelson, I know in visiting with Mike McCarthy, every one of these receivers can play all 4 wide receiver positions on the field, and Mike said simply in the 11 years that he's been the head coach, he's never had a receiver that couldn't play all the spots. So it's not like just one guy is going to be taking over the position for Jordy Nelson. You'll see Randall Cobb in the slot at times. You'll see Devontae Adams. Of course, we've already seen Richard Rodgers. These are all moving pieces that he has to deal with.
Play action pass for Allison out of his reach. And Orlando Scandrick was coming on a blitz, and I know you feel like Rod Marinelli, although it's risky against Aaron Rodgers, because nobody beats it better than number 12, has got to bring pressure.
I don't think you can let Aaron Rodgers sit in the pocket and just carve you up. And I know that Marinelli does not like to bring extra people. 16% of the defensive snaps was all that he brought pressure. But if they're not able to get to him better, I think he's going to have to do something.
3rd down and 3. Rodgers sits back. Over the middle, pass is caught. And that's the rookie Allison. Geronimo Allison, undrafted out of Illinois. Good for the catch. 9-yard completion.
I think this offensive line probably is the best pass protecting offensive line in football. I mean, we see this week after week, and it just affords Aaron Rodgers a ton of time. They split Ty Montgomery out on Sean Lee. He runs a sluggo route, slant and go, and he's beat. And Aaron caught it a little bit late. He saw it late. He started to make a throw. He pulled it back and went a different direction. But they've got too many guys for him just to sit in the pocket without Marinelli trying to bring some edge rushers.
Rodgers has started 5 for 7. He's found 5 different receivers. He finds Cobb for the 2nd time. And Randall Cobb is out of bounds at midfield. And so far, no answers defensively for Dallas against this red-hot Green Bay offense.
Well, the guy that they're hoping can be a factor in this game is DeMarcus Lawrence, and he's over on the sidelines right now. He has played in this game. He hasn't been a factor, of course. He missed the last 3 games of the regular season, missed the first 4 games of the regular season, only 1 sack on the year. He led the team last season with 8. But this is why he is here, and he needs to be that guy that can put pressure on Rodgers in passing situations.
Fan right. 319. 2nd down and 2. Blitz. Rodgers throws. Adams overthrown. Adams was looking for a flag on Scandrick.
Now I see the shirt. You see the shirt pulled off the shoulder pad. That's usually a hold. I don't know what the official's looking at, but that alone, you know that he was grabbed. They missed a big play there. That clearly was a penalty, and Davante Adams has every right to be upset.
Mike Carrera, one spot down to your right, agrees. 3rd down and 2.
I think all of America agrees with that.
Pass for Adams. He's there and hitting stride. 1st down inside the 20. What a catch by Davante Adams, who spun around and Rodgers dropped it right in his lap.
David Bakhtiari, 2nd team All-Pro left tackle. He just stones DeMarcus Lawrence on the outside, gives one-on-one, and they're working the middle of the field in some of those seam routes, and you see the job that Davante Adams does, and he makes a heck of an adjustment to the ball and making a play.
Packers are now inside the red zone, where they've gone 20 of 28 trips during this 7-game winning streak, scoring touchdowns. 319! 319! Quick throw, Cobb looking for a move. Down inside the 10. They'll mark him at the 9, a gain of 8. And Orlando Scandrick on the tackle. But some of these throws, not that one in particular, but the throw to Jared Cook from Aaron Rodgers. The throw he just dropped into Davante Adams. Rodgers stays hot. Richard Rodgers has a touchdown. The Packers move it in again. Up 7-3. Back after this for the 2nd quarter. As we start the 2nd quarter, 2nd down and 2 for Green Bay, up by 4. Different story today with what this Green Bay offense has done in the opening quarter. 11th play of this drive. It started at their own 10. Pass is caught. That's Montgomery, and he's out of bounds with a 1st down. Ty Montgomery is a great story. Went to high school here locally at St. Mark's. Went to Stanford, was in the house when Emmitt Smith, who we showed you earlier, broke the all-time rushing record. He played at halftime of that game, ran for a 60-yard touchdown. He said, "It's always been my dream to be a running back." Then at Texas Stadium, now here at AT&T, and he's doing it for the visitors, who are leading by 4 and looking for more. Pass is broken up. Byron Jones made the play. Pass was intended for big Jared Cook. 2nd and goal.
Well, a lot of bodies right there where he's trying to fit that in to follow up on Ty Montgomery, talking about the changes that he was able to make from wide receiver to more of a running back role. As you see that throw, you know, a lot of bodies for Rodgers to try to fit that thing in. But, you know, he says that he's always felt that he was a running back in it, having to play wide receiver. So that transition for him has been pretty natural, about as natural as you could expect.
2nd down and goal. Here is Montgomery. And Ty Montgomery, no signal yet. Touchdown. Ty Montgomery is in for Green Bay as they run it in to add to their lead here in the opening minute of the 2nd quarter.
Well, Barry Church, the safety, he drops in and he's got a chance, but Ty Montgomery really does a good job of getting skinny, so to speak, and sliding through the hole. You're going to see Barry Church as he comes up, and Ty Montgomery's able to come underneath, and Sean Lee was there and just continue to move the pile. So, you know, the Cowboys had the one drive and then the big penalty, which cost them some momentum, have had to settle for a field goal, but the Packers off to a great start after the last 2 weeks of really struggling early in ball games. I don't see a lot there that's going to really tell exactly. Rodgers saw all he needed to see.
Like Ty backed his way in there, kept driving, and they've looked at it enough to agree that it was a touchdown. The extra point now coming from Mason Crosby, who missed 3 during the regular season. Perfect here, and it's a 14-3 Green Bay Packer lead. Aaron Rodgers got him down there. Montgomery drove it in. #1 seeded Cowboys and their fans wondering how hot will Rodgers and the Packers stay up 11.
Today's game is sponsored by Ford F-Series, the best-selling trucks for 40 straight years. By Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. And by Burger King. Get any size coffee, hot or iced, for just 99 cents.
Searching for answers on that Dallas Cowboys sideline with the defense now taking a seat. 13-play drive, over 5.5 minutes off the clock. And Aaron Rodgers has started 9 for 13, 132 yards and a touchdown. Went to Richard Rodgers for the Packers for a score. So the drive will start at the 25. Well, Jaron Elliott is in the house today, but not playing. He's the Packers nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Throughout the past few years, Jaron has dedicated his time to multiple schools in Green Bay, spreading the word of being respectful to others and making the most out of opportunities. The winner will be announced at the NFL Honors Award Show on February 4th at 8 Eastern on Fox. The great guy working his way back from a break in his left hand. The cast is off. He told me today if the Packers move on to playing the NFC Championship game, he'd be ready to go next week. On first down, play action. Prescott out to his right, has Williams. That is off his chest and nearly picked. And that'll go down as a drop on Terrence Williams.
You can't put it any better than that. Terrence Williams actually runs a good route on Demarius Randall, gets him turned around, and he actually has done that a couple times. He did on the one where they had the penalty with Bryce Butler being in the huddle, but then you start this drive off the play action. Good call by Scott Linehan, but because of the drop, now you're behind in the chains.
Elliott right side, now cuts up field, well played. Mike Daniels closing down to make the stop, a gain of 2, 3rd and 8.
One of the things in the last time these two teams met was I think Dom Capers was trying to figure out exactly what personnel grouping he wanted to have on the field when the Cowboys were in more of their running personnel. And in this game, he's kind of gotten locked in on 5 defensive backs and just saying that we're going to hold up. They got some big bodies in there, the defensive tackle position. Elliott's had success running the football overall, but the Cowboys now facing a 3rd down, and they've not been able to convert yet in this game.
Elliott on the sideline. Prescott throws, and he was hit as he let it go. Pass is incomplete. It's 4th down. Cole Beasley was the target. Clay Matthews came away from that play looking for a flag, but he didn't get one.
Well, Clay Matthews, he said the other day that we've got to take advantage of Doug Free, and he felt that there was a hold, that there should have been a penalty on the play, but they're going to get the ball nevertheless. And Doug Free in that last game, Julius Peppers was able to get a sack in that ball game, but that's the area that they want to try to bring guys and win the matchup on Free.
Beautiful punt. Hyde waiting for it, and a fair catch back near the 20. So Aaron Rodgers gets it again. Cowboys haven't stopped him yet. 14-3 Green Bay. Most consecutive touchdown passes without an interception all time. Brady, #1 back in 2010. Aaron Rodgers with his active streak at 23. This is a Green Bay offense that hasn't turned the ball over in 5 straight games. See what they've done, outscoring the Giants and the Cowboys 38-3 in the last 3+ quarters. Packers drove 90 yards for a touchdown last time they had it. Pass is caught by Cook. And Jared Cook brought down by Hitchens. gain of 6.
Well, the Packers, they go to an empty set. They motion Ty Montgomery out wide, and Rod Marinelli's trying to see if he can't generate some pressure on Aaron Rodgers. He brings Orlando Scandrick off the slot, but with the quick passing games, Rodgers beats him with the throw.
Push it. 11.
And a rare mistake by Lane Taylor. He moved back.
False start. Offense, number 65. 5-yard penalty and remains second down.
Really a rare mistake by anybody in this offensive group for Green Bay.
Well, both these offensive lines are so well coached, really good. I mean, it's Cowboys offensive line amongst most people would be regarded as the best, but this Packers offensive line, they're a highly respected group also.
Second down and 9. Pass to Allison. He's there to grab it for a first down. Chris Myers is on the Dallas Cowboys sideline. What are you detecting down there?
Well, Joe, not a lot of energy. You showed the picture. This is the offense earlier. They're not used to being behind, sitting, waiting like Still Valley. In fact, it was the veteran Jason Witten who earlier had to come over and get on some people about the penalties, drop passes, and missed assignments after that week of rest for the #1 seed. And defensively, they are trying to rework their substitution plan so they're not caught for Aaron Rodgers and another penalty.
On first down. Pass over the middle is broken up for Devontae Adams, and J.J. Wilcox got his left arm in there. 2nd and 10.
It's pretty obvious that Mike McCarthy is liking the empty set. Spread this defense out. And once again, Marinelli, he counters that. He brings Sean Lee off the edge, and just knowing that he can't afford to let Rodgers sit back in that pocket and do what he's done already in this game.
Packers have thrown it 16 times, run it 5 times. And now T.J. Lang, the Pro Bowler, comes off the field, will get looked at on the sideline. He missed 3 games earlier with a broken foot, and Don Barclay takes over.
Yeah, and I think Aaron Rodgers smart here, recognizing what was happening, and rather than rush into something, just took the timeout and regrouped.
So timeout Green Bay, 2nd and 10 when we come back.
Today's game is sponsored by Samsung Pay. Turn your phone into your wallet.
It was an equipment issue. The buckle on the chin strap of T.J. Lang goes flying on that hit. He comes to the sideline. They're still working on it. Had to call a timeout. Barclay is in at right guard. Blitz. Pass is caught by Randall Cobb. Trying to split the 2 defenders. 3rd down coming up. Byron Jones on the tackle, a gain of 4.
T.J. Lang with his chin strap. It was like a NASCAR pit stop. I thought that with the timeout they'd be able to get it changed out to get him back into the ball game. But now the Packers at 3rd and 6. They've dominated this down here in this first half. The Cowboys have yet to make a stop when they've gotten the Packers to 3rd down.
Red Batty is over there with the pressure on him, trying to get the chin strap fixed. Packers 3 for 3 on 3rd down. Rodgers doesn't even have his snapped. Pass is broken up, but flags all over the place. How about Rodgers starting that play with his chin strap not even fastened? I think he's calm, cool, and collected.
Well, you're pretty relaxed when you don't even know you have your chin strap undone.
Illegal use of hands to the face, defense, number 24. 5-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
That's against Morris Claiborne, who's missed the last 9 games with a groin injury.
Well, they come up with a good plan. That's the penalty there. They got Heath, who is working over the top, and so they're able to keep him underneath Claiborne. But they caught him with the hands to the face there, and It's obviously a big penalty. It's a huge drive at this point in the ball game for this Dallas defense and not surrendering any more points. And that penalty kept this drive alive.
Second time the Packers have had a penalty give them a first down in this first half. Both came on third down. Here's Rodgers out to his right. Pass is caught by Allison. And the rookie is good inside the 35. When the play breaks down, there's nobody better than Rodgers and these Green Bay receivers.
Well, Geronimo Allison is excellent in that he's able to find the hole in the zone, and that's not an easy catch. He's able to get out there and make a play on it, but the Cowboys, their whole mission coming in this game, trying to keep Aaron Rodgers in the pocket, but he has an uncanny ability to just bait defenders into him and underneath and allow him to then get out and buy himself some more time and throws a good ball on the run.
Total yards dominated by Green Bay. That one good for 26. Already in field goal range. Pass is caught by Cobb. Wilcox comes in to make the stop.
Joe, the strength of this defense has been their ability to not give up big plays. And yet here in this first half, the Packers, they've had a ton of big plays, and that's why they're leading right now 14-3, and the Cowboys just simply have not had any answers for it.
It's a defense for Dallas that's considered really greater than the individual parts. Overall, they rank 14th. They had no Pro Bowlers, one All-Pro, but as a group, they played very well, and as you said, limited the big plays. Not so far in this first half. 2nd and 7. Here's Ripkowski. A rare run, and Ripkowski gets loose down near the 10. Byron Jones on the tackle. They mark him at the 11. It's a 20-yard carry by Aaron Ripkowski.
Well, wide receiver comes down and makes a key block to help him, and then breaks the tackle with Aaron Ripkowski. That's the first run on this drive by the Green Bay Packers, and some good tough running by Aaron Ripkowski. Geronimo Allison, who already made the big catch over the middle of the field, he comes down on a crack block on J.J. Wilcox, who was filling in the gap, and helped free Ripkowski up.
From the 11, quick setup and throw. Devontae Adams down the sideline, and they're going to mark him out at the 1. The head linesman comes in and says Adams stepped out at the 1. Claiborne out there in coverage, and it'll set up 1st and goal. And there's the step out.
Yeah,
just before he taps the pylon.
That heel, that's a good job by the official catching that, because from where we are, Joe, I thought it was a touchdown. I didn't see him get out. That's pretty close.
Extra offensive lineman Jason Spriggs, the rookie, in there for Green Bay. 1st and goal. Montgomery looking for his 2nd, and he's got it. Dominance by the Green Bay Packers. David Bakhtiari, his 2nd team All-Pro left tackle, is down. And while they look at Bakhtiari, we look at the touchdown run for Ty Montgomery.
Well, this time Ripkowski, who got the carry earlier, he makes the block on Anthony Hitchens, kicks him out. Ty Montgomery's in behind him, and there's David Bakhtiari. He's making the block, and he's on the ground, and he's been really one of the anchors of this team this year in that offensive line, and the job that he's done in that left tackle position.
Packers last week opened with 5 straight punts against the Giants. Today, 3 straight touchdowns. Cowboys' biggest deficit this season that faced is 14 points, and right now it's 17 with the extra point to come. There's Bakhtiari, number 69, and see the side of his right knee gets hit by Sean Lee.
Sean Lee comes in and just takes the right knee out, and we'll see what his condition is, but boy, they put a lot of pressure on these offensive tackles. David Bakhtiari, Brian Bulaga at the right tackle position, Mike McCarthy does not give these big guys any help in pass protection. They're asked to do a lot. And that's a good sign for all Packer fans right there, seeing him jog off the field.
First time Aaron Rodgers since taking over as a starter has had his 2 tackles healthy all year. Bakhtiari and Balaga made all 18 starts. And now before the extra point.
There's timeout on the field.
Tony Corrente says there's a timeout on the field, and he's going to jog over. Well, Aaron Rodgers buckled it up and led the Packers into the end zone again as they add to their lead in the first half. And obviously a little mix-up with Tony Corrente and whether there was a timeout or not, and the answer is there is no timeout, even with the dramatic music and the slow-mo. And Aaron Rodgers buckling his chin strap. Here's Crosby to make it an 18-point game. This time, I promise, I'm going to stop talking. 18-point game. Ty Montgomery's having fun in this game in Arlington, Texas. He's got 2 touchdowns. And it's a 21-3 game. As we said, the biggest deficit the Cowboys have faced. Talk about Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott.
Not only deficits, they just simply have not trailed much this year.
This drive will start at the 25 on Sunday, February 5th. Pepsi presents the biggest concert of the year, the Pepsi Zero Sugar Super Bowl 51 halftime show. To follow Lady Gaga on her journey to the world's biggest stage, visit PepsiHalftime.com.
You know, you talk about the largest deficits, Joe. This team, they haven't trailed, period, much this year. You know, so this is new territory. And like I said, coming in, you know, for the divisional game, #1 seed. You know, yeah, there's some pressure that comes with that, and they've had no reason to be able to settle in. And with Aaron Rodgers doing what he's doing, it's a big drive for the Cowboys.
Here's one to Witten. On first down, Witten is brought down near the 30, a gain of 5. Jake Ryan on the stop. People were wondering, Troy, about Dak Prescott. Would he be nervous? I don't think this is on Prescott. We saw a drop. The penalty by Bryce Butler was a killer, and defensively, they seem to have no answers, and we're even surprised by Aaron Rodgers hurrying to the line of scrimmage and catching too many men on the field.
Yeah, but you wonder as they go into the second half, you know, there's no question that Romo gives them an opportunity for more big plays.
So does this guy. Ezekiel Elliott, good for a first down. You brought up the Romo name with under 7 minutes to go in the first half.
No, I'm just saying that if we get into this second half, I'm not suggesting that they should do anything, but if this continues and there's another penalty, a couple flags now thrown out there while the Cowboys are in the huddle.
Long conference.
No foul on the play. Number 73 reported as an eligible player. It was not announced. Second down.
Mike Pereira, this is obviously a big weekend for officials. The All-Star Crews and the Super Bowl referee will come out of this weekend.
Yeah, and you know, we had some struggles here with lack of crews, and I think I could pretty much, after seeing the assignment, say that it looks like Carl Cheppers, who has the game tonight in Kansas City, will be the referee that moves on to the Super Bowl.
So, well, that's news there for Mike Pereira. Here is a first down play. Des Bryant, welcome back to the game. Out of bounds at the 40. We'll get back to Mike when we have a moment, but this good for 21 and exactly what Dallas needed.
Yeah, Clinton Dix initially looked like he was going to give some help to Ladarius Gunner. He works to the middle, and Dak Prescott reads it beautifully and makes a nice throw to Des Bryant.
21-yard completion, the biggest play of the day for the Dallas Cowboys, who need some sort of answer here fast. Bryant. Hitting stride. Bryant, touchdown. They answer fast. First career postseason touchdown for Dez Bryant on a 40-yarder.
Well, they single up Dez Bryant once again, and Ladarius Gunner, he had a tough afternoon the last time these two teams met, and Dez Bryant did not play in that game. Twice they go one-on-one with Dez Bryant. This time he makes him pay with a touchdown, and Dak Prescott hangs in the pocket, a free rusher right in his face, and he delivers a perfect ball, and that's exactly what the Cowboys needed.
Yeah, and you brought up Tony Romo, and it's a fair point that you've got this guy who you think's a bigger strike quarterback. He can give you the big play in Tony Romo. Prescott, the rookie, a little more methodical. They just went 75 yards in 94 seconds. And if the extra point is good, it's an 11-point game.
Well, that was an important drive offensively, of course, but I don't know that we're going to see much more one-on-one coverage on Dez Bryant with Ladarius Gunner.
21-10. And there is a glimmer of first half hope, and it's number 88 from number 4. 40 yards for the touchdown in this divisional playoff for the vet. Jason Witten loves it. The deficit 11. A comparison of the two quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers 15 out of 20. Dak Prescott 7 of 12. He had a big drop by Terrence Williams earlier, but just hit Dez Bryant for a 40-yarder. It's an 11-point game. Bailey will kick it away. Chance for a return if they want, and they're going to bring it out late. Kristen Michael, that was a mistake. He got caught not knowing what to do once he didn't make a clean catch. Could he stay in the end zone, or did he have to take it out? And instead of staying in, he takes it out and only makes it to the 5, maybe the 6.
Yeah, huge mistake on his part. He didn't have to bring it out, Joe. The whole ball has to cross the goal line, and it did not. So he could have stayed in the end zone and brought it out to the 20.
They marked him at the 6. Bakhtiari is out at the moment, and the rookie from Indiana, Jason Spriggs, is out there at left tackle.
Well, we'll see if this Cowboys defense now, with the Packers backed up, if they're able to make a stop. They've been unable to do so in this game.
Fourth possession. They scored on the previous 3. Nothing for Ripkowski. It was a little pushing and shoving after the touchdown throw from Dak Prescott. Julius Peppers and Dayton Jones sandwiched Prescott. Fans are back in this game, no doubt. The Packers' previous 3 possessions, 15 first downs and 240 yards. 2nd and 9. That's Cobb in the slot. Pass is too high, incomplete. Allison the target. Tori, when we talked to Aaron Rodgers during the week and asked him, how do you make up for the loss of Jordy Nelson, the first guy he said was Jeff Janis, but we've seen a lot to Geronimo Allison as Rodgers hurries it up. And they caught him again. Although Dallas may have called a timeout, and they did. There's a flag on the field, but they're going to grant Dallas the timeout.
Timeout. Dallas. This is their second. A 30-second timeout.
Look at Rodgers. He sees a player getting off, going to the sideline, and he's counting the players. That's how sharp he is, and he gets up to the line fast.
Hey, if the Cowboys keep trying to substitute players, they're going to be out of timeouts, especially in the second half when they move through. And I'm shocked that they tried to do it there with the ball inside the 10-yard line and the distance if these guys had to go, but
loud crowd on 3rd and 9. It was Tyrone Crawford who couldn't get off the field. DeMarcus Lawrence across from Jason Spriggs, the rookie. Rodgers in trouble, gets rid of it, incomplete. And he was under heavy pressure in the end zone. It's a 3 and out.
Yeah, Rod Marinelli started bringing some extra guys, and this time he's able to get Sean Lee free. And there's another grab by Claiborne. It's not called. Devontae Adams looking for it. But Rodgers under pressure that time, having to unload it a lot sooner than he wanted to. Cowboys make the stop.
Kristen Michael set this up by trying to take it out of the end zone. Shum with a punt. Good one. Beasley waiting for it from the 41 to midfield. The momentum has flipped. And Jason Garrett trying to get his crew pumped up. Back to the field as his offense down 11. Tonight, it's the return of a UFC superstar. Hall of Famer B.J. Penn is back in the octagon to take on Yair Rodriguez, a rising young gun in the UFC. It's the legend versus the Mexican phenom in a fight you won't want to miss. UFC Fight Night tonight on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. First 4 drives for Dallas started at their own 25. This one starts at their own 49. Bryant. Gunter can't bring him down, and a pickup on first down by Des Bryant of 5.
Well, right now I think the Cowboys have Dom Capers in a bit of a quandary because you want to be able to bring the extra guy up in run support, but after that last drive we've seen what Des Bryant has done to Ladarius Gunter, so he's trying to play a cat and mouse game, and that time he was one-on-one again and Dak Prescott gets the ball out. But right now that's a matchup that if you continually drop the safety down one-on-one, we're going to see a lot of balls going to 88.
Here's Elliott getting it. Tripped up before he can find a first down by about a yard. A gain of 4. Aaron, how are the injuries piling up down there?
Well, let's start with the defense. We have not even seen Morgan Burnett out here on the field for quite some time. We believe this is where he hurt his quad. He is questionable to return. Good news, though, left tackle David Bakhtiari. He is out here trying to get loose. They were saying he was questionable with the knee, but he's given his teammates thumbs up, guys.
Last series they had Spriggs in a tackle. Move the ball back about a half yard, so we'll call it 3rd and 2 here for Dallas. Prescott out to his right, and he'll run for it. First down. Gain of 4 on 3rd and 2.
Prescott's able to break contain. The Packers were in man coverage. They have someone isolated on Prescott, but he got a little lackadaisical, and Prescott able to pick up the first down.
First 3rd down conversion for the Cowboys, and it comes on a Prescott carry. Here's Elliott. And a nice play is made by Kentrell Bryce, a rookie defensive back who got a hold of the leg of Ezekiel Elliott and didn't let go.
That's not an easy task to be able to make a play on him, and Dom Capers continues to play with 5 defensive backs and see how well they can play the run versus all of their looks. And of course now with the Cowboys in 3 wide receivers, that's what you would expect.
Prescott, Beasley, diving catch. Randall in coverage, a gain of 6. As we approach the 2-minute warning here in this divisional playoff game. Cowboys will let it get there. When we come back, important third down again for Dallas as they trail by 11. Follow your favorite team all season long. Go to itunes.com/NFL. Well, you and I were kind of thinking, Troy, during the break along the same lines. If the Cowboys don't get it here on 3rd and 4, are they in a spot where they would go for it on 4th down? But first things first. Prescott 5 for his last 5, 6 for his last 6. What a hit by Bryce. He upends Beasley, basically flips him at the 15 with a first down.
Well, it's a great route by Cole Beasley off the line of scrimmage. It's a big hit by Bryce, but not until after he picks up a big 3rd down conversion. And Demarius Randall, he's been turned around a bunch in this first half, and this time he's trying to. Cole Beasley's turned a lot of people around, though, over the last several years.
18-yard completion on 3rd and 4. End zone for Witten over his head. And there's Kentrell Bryce again. 2nd and 10.
Kentrell Bryce, he's getting his opportunity. He's been called upon before, but with Morgan Burnett not in the game, he's having to come out and make a play.
Bryce, another one of those free agent finds the Packers seem to come up with over and over again. 2nd and 10.
They're showing they're going to work to Des Bryant, give some help to Ladarius Gunner. Keep an eye on Cole Beasley. He's the guy Prescott likes to go to in these situations.
Receiver fell down. That's Witten. Got his feet tangled up. Thomas was in coverage. No flag.
A little bit of a grab there with the right hand, and you see Jason Witten, even on that previous play, the crowd, they just saw it on the big jumbotron. They were wanting to see a flag as well. On the previous play, I think Jason Witten got up thinking that should have been a flag. There's been some contact. This was on the first play that he thought there should have been a flag thrown. And Jake Thomas, he's their linebacker, their best cover guy. Looked like he had a hold of him.
And now a timeout taken by Jason Garrett before the play clock went to zeros. So
Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Now
Remains 3rd down.
Now one official's going to overrule the other. They're going to pick up the flag.
There will be no foul for delay of game. Dallas called their 3rd and final timeout prior to the clock expiring.
You see Jason Garrett up at the top. That was close. Well, the guys are hanging out in L.A. What's coming up at halftime, Kurt?
Coming up on the Visa Halftime, we'll take a look at the first half of this game and go live to Kansas City to get an update from Peter Schrager on the Steelers-Chiefs contest as the road to Super Bowl 51 in Houston right here on Fox is ramping up.
It'll be 3rd down and 10. Jason Garrett now. The arguments have moved from Jason Witten to Jason Garrett on a couple of calls that the Cowboys didn't get. Dallas has converted on 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4 on this drive. McCarthy getting his say in as well. 3rd and 10.
Those officials are getting it from everybody.
Prescott, end zone, pass is broken up. And well done defensively. Witten was the target. And it's Joe Thomas back there defending yet again. It's 4th down. And a big stop by this Green Bay defense.
Yeah, it sure was. And this one, you see Joe Thomas, he's able to get his hand on it. Initially, when he went to make a play, it looked like he might have been able to intercept the ball. It was pretty crowded down there. Prescott trying to fit that one into his tight end. But a big stop after a pretty good drive there and having to make them settle for a field goal.
33-yard try by Bailey. And it's a one-score game. Today is the 50th anniversary of Super Bowl I, the first AFL-NFL World Championship game, later known as Super Bowl I, between the Chiefs and the Packers at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. Packers won that game by a score of 35-10. That was after Green Bay beat Dallas, and then would beat Dallas the next year in 1967 in the Ice Bowl. Length of the game, 2 hours, 37 minutes. Highest price ticket, $12. And a 30-second commercial cost $42 grand.
How about that? 2 hours and 37 minutes.
In case you're wondering, it would cost you $5 million for a 30-second ad.
Yes.
In the upcoming Super Bowl.
The price to play has gone up exponentially. So is the audience and everything else that goes with that great game. And now we look at this here, Joe, with a minute to play, and the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers with 2 timeouts. Plenty of time for him to see if he can't generate something here before the end of this half.
Dallas Cowboys have put up 10 points here over the last 6 minutes. But there's a minute left for number 12. And 2 timeouts. Green Bay Packers will get the ball to start the second half, by the way. No decision this time for Michael. It's the 2017 Pro Bowl presented by Aquafina. It's a return to the traditional AFC versus NFC format. Tune in on Sunday, January 29th from Orlando at 8 Eastern. Pro Bowl Skills Showdown, January 26th. Both events are on ESPN. David Bakhtiari is back out on the field for the Green Bay Packers. One of the security blankets for Aaron Rodgers as the drive starts at the 25. Up 8. Just got it away, a blitz. Rodgers throws for Cobb off his right hand. Covered by Scandrick.
Well, we've seen Marinelli now the last few possessions. He has certainly, been bringing some people. That throw there by Rodgers, even without planting his feet, it's not an easy throw to make, and yet he was able to put it into a place where this guy had a chance.
On 2nd and 10, Rodgers out to his right's got Cook, and may have been tipped by Claiborne. It hit Cook in the face mask. Now 3rd and 10.
Yeah, that time Marinelli brings a 3-man rush, so 8 in coverage. The windows get a little bit smaller, but yet Rodgers is, I'm like you, Joe. I think maybe Claiborne got a hand on that ball that deflected it just enough that kept Cook from being able to make a play.
49 seconds left in the half. For a quarterback who the last time he played on this field in this stadium won Super Bowl 45. Blitz off the edge with Scandrick. He gets home. And the Cowboys defense has made back-to-back stops.
Well, you see Scandrick now. He comes off the slot, and Rodgers just really nowhere to go with the ball. There was no hot adjustment for him to throw the football. And what we've seen of these defensive backs here in the last couple of possessions now is they're playing much more aggressively on the receivers at the line of scrimmage, not giving them free releases, not allowing Rodgers to get the ball out quick. And it's paid off with 2 big stops now against this Packers offense.
The wasted timeouts by Dallas cost him after that stop. Game clock has zeros on it. Beasley from inside the 40. And that's it for the first half of this divisional playoff game. But the Cowboys have closed the gap. Trailed by 18, now trailed by 8. The Visa halftime is coming up after this break from your local Fox station. Today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. Today's excitement brought to you by the new Nissan Titan. As we welcome you back to the start of the third quarter, and now welcome you inside the broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck along with Troy Aikman. Well, what we see in the first half, it looked like Green Bay was going to run away and hide, but Dallas made some noise there at the end of the half.
Well, they made some adjustments, and I thought they were really good. First of all, offensively, with the Packers starting to load up against the run, they were able to take advantage of some of the one-on-one matchups with Des Bryant and create some big plays. Then on the other side of it, Rod Marinelli, the defensive coordinator, he started mixing up the pressures a little bit. Not always 5- and 6-man rushes, sometimes just 4, but started bringing Sean Lee and others and mixing it up, and they were successful.
It's only the 4th time the #1 seeded Dallas Cowboys have trailed at the half. The drive for Aaron Rodgers will start at the 25, and we'll send it down to Chris Myers.
And Joe, just as Troy was saying, 3 defensive adjustments for Jason Garrett and his defensive staff, blitzing more in the face of the Green Bay receivers, pressing them more at the line of scrimmage, and shadowing or spying, they call it sharking. They had Anthony Hitchens first doing that on Aaron Rodgers. They switched to Justin Durant. Those adjustments helped the defense. Offense, he said, will be fine without penalties, and as long as we can get the football back for our offense.
Yeah, well, that was a question for that Dallas defense. Can they stop Aaron Rodgers? And Rodgers has stayed hot after a frigid wild card game against the Giants last week. On first down, Rodgers skips out of trouble and throws it away, gets hit on the play and completes it to Cobb. What a throw by Aaron Rodgers on the move to Randall Cobb. Pressured by Malik Collins and good for 25.
Well, and Rodgers knew he was going to get hit by Malik Collins when he loaded up to make that throw, and it's good work by Aaron Rodgers. And look at the job that Randall Cobb does coming down that sidelines and finding an open spot for his quarterback.
There's nobody better at that than Jordy Nelson. He's a sideline master on plays like that. And Randall Cobb looked Jordy-like. What a play that was. Good start to the half. Here is a catch by Montgomery. And he gets forced out by Byron Jones, a gain of 3, and we go back to that previous play.
Well, these are the things that this Packers offense, they work on these types of things, these scramble drills, knowing that, you know, Rodgers gets out of the pocket so frequently that they've got to be able to have some rules to where they're going on the field. But you know, Rodgers can just put the ball anywhere he wants to from really anywhere on the field, and knowing he's going to get blown up, and makes a perfect throw.
319. 2nd and 7. Quick throw to Adams, and Davante Adams breaks 1 tackle, tries to break another. 3rd and short coming up, down to Aaron Andrews we go.
Well, Mike McCarthy said in order to get the momentum back here for his offense, he said they need to get into a rhythm very quickly. He said, look for us to try to run the ball. He said some of those times in field position, they were backed up, didn't help them. But he told me, Joe, I am very confident with my offense up against this Dallas Cowboys defense. Speaking of the Packers defense, Morgan Burnett is done today, guys.
It's a big loss for Green Bay defensively. Their strong safety. Now 3rd and 3. Rodgers throws and caught by Adams. Davante Adams for a first down inside the 30. And on 3rd and short, a gain of 14.
Yeah, you see Aaron Rodgers pointing to him, letting him know that that's a good job of working back through the ball, because Brandon Carr, although he gets turned around, that ball's contested. You know, a lot of times a receiver, you know, he doesn't anticipate that kind of contact at the time the ball's arriving, but Davante Adams does and makes a big catch to convert on 3rd down.
4 passes, no runs to start this half. And you see the lopsided play calling. 29-8 for the game for Green Bay. First down. Rodgers had to pull it down. Now he goes for Cook inside the 5. Working on Morris Claiborne, and they're going to mark Jared Cook near the 3.
Well, this is a design to where they show the wide receiver screen, but then Jared Cook, he comes off and is just running a vertical route. The pump fake, and then he throws a perfect ball to Jared Cook with Morris Claiborne, in a position. And Jared Cook, when they split him out, he draws, you think a lot of times safeties, corners, safeties and linebackers, he draws corners, and even when he gets them, he beats them quite frequently.
26 yards on that one to Cook from the 3. Play action. Rodgers to his right, wide open, touchdown. And it's Cook who got him down there. Mike McCarthy made the comment to us a couple of weeks ago. He said there's no stat to show how much attention a player requires. And Jared Cook is the one who fits that description. He is a mismatch waiting to happen.
Regardless of who's in coverage, and you can tell how much Aaron Rodgers likes him in the frequency that he goes to him. Now, this is a good job by Jared Cook. Great play fake by Aaron Rodgers. But Cook, then, he has to sell it as much as the quarterback does and give the impression that he's blocking. He goes to the corner and wide open.
4 touchdowns in the game for Green Bay. 2 on the ground and 2 through the air, and both are to the tight ends. First one to Richard Rodgers. This one to Jared Cook. And the Green Bay Packers open up a 15-point lead.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. By Miller Lite, the original light beer. And by Chevrolet. More J.D. Power initial quality awards than any other brand. 4 years in a row.
There's a young, fresh-faced Troy Aikman and a young, fresh-faced Brett Favre.
A lot of great matchups against old number 4 and the Green Bay Packers over the years. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun for me. We won a lot of those games. I don't know how much fun they had.
Lucky Whitehead thought better of trying to take it out of the end zone. Nervous time here in Texas as they watched Aaron Rodgers go right down the field yet again in what's now a 15-point game. So far this postseason across the NFL, the home teams have won every game, and for the most part quite easily. And a 28-point scored today by the Green Bay Packers, the most by any road team so far this postseason. There's been only 1 possession second half. Down by 15. They hand to Zeke. And Ezekiel Elliott out across the 45. And a good start to this drive for Dallas. Good for 22.
Well, the Cowboys come in with 2 backs and 1 tight end, and Dom Capers stays with 5 defensive backs. Keith Smith, the fullback, number 41, he lead blocks. And Ezekiel Elliott just hits it right up the gut. He's trying to see. Dom Capers is trying to hold up. He wants those 5 guys on the field, those defensive backs, and hoping that they can still hold up, but not that time.
Elliott again. And this time, you expect the play to be over when we watch these games weekend after weekend, and Elliott's usually about 3 yards beyond where you think the play stopped. As he gets 4, it looked like there was nothing there.
Yeah, we've seen that time after time, and even in this game that he just keeps his legs going. He's a great finisher on all of these runs.
Averaging just under 6 yards a carry.
Hey, here we go. Hey, let's go chocolate. Chocolate. Let's go to 48. Go to 48. On the ball, my son.
Doug Free costs his team 5.
Well, start. Offense.
Doug Free, he has Julius Peppers lined up across from him, and Julius Peppers been beating people a long time in this league, and Doug Free knows. In fact, the last time these 2 teams met, Peppers had a sack on him in that game, and he got a little over anxious and came out of his stance early.
Only the 4th penalty on Dallas in this game. The other 3 have been very costly, and here is somehow a completion to Witten as Prescott was going down. Nick Perry and Clay Matthews were there And let's see who's draped all over Prescott. It's Perry, and somehow Prescott finds Witten.
Perry is all over Prescott, and the reason Witten gets so open is Micah Hyde. They were in a zone coverage. Micah Hyde gets so wrapped up with Cole Beasley that he vacates his zone, and Witten gets in there behind him.
12 yards to Witten on 2nd and 11. Prescott steps into it. Williams downfield, nearly picked, and probably should have been by Kentrell Brice.
Yeah, that was a mistake by Dak Prescott from the beginning. Kentrell Brice, he was in a position to make a play, and yet Prescott still throws it up, and Brice with a golden opportunity, and that's likely a ball that Morgan Burnett catches if he's in the game.
Burnett is out. Brice in his spot. Had a chance for a postseason pick.
It's been a clean game in terms of turnovers. Last time in October, 6 turnovers combined for both teams, but it's been clean here today with none.
Here's a toss to Elliott running right. Ezekiel Elliott picks up 6. Joe Thomas on the tackle. 3rd down coming up. Cowboys trying to answer that quick score on the first possession by Aaron Rodgers to start this half. Elliott out, extra receivers in, including Brice Butler. Witten starts it in the backfield. And Prescott makes a fake and has a 1st down. Went around Clinton Dix and did a barrel roll for a fresh set of downs.
Well, Clinton Dix, he drops in because he wants to double the inside receiver, and then he's in a position also to serve as a spy, and he just is unable to make a play on Prescott once he scrambles. Puts a move on Clinton Dix and is able to pick up the 1st down.
2nd time a 3rd down conversion has been made by Dallas on a Dak Prescott run. That one for 9.
Mike 47.
One-on-one on the bottom.
Ezekiel Elliott getting a block from Brice Butler out on the edge. Gets 9. On Sunday, February 5th, Pepsi presents the biggest concert of the year, the Pepsi Zero Sugar Super Bowl 51 halftime show. To follow Lady Gaga on her journey to the world's biggest stage, visit PepsiHalftime.com. Impressive drive now put together by Dallas, who made that investment in picks and in dollars with that offensive line. They won only 4 games last year. That led them to the 4th overall pick, and they added number 21, Ezekiel Elliott, to take advantage of that line. This one is picked. Telegraph pass, and it's Micah Hyde. And the first turnover of the game on an interception by Dak Prescott. And we'll take a break. Micah Hyde read it. He stepped in front, took it away, and has his 4th pick of the year.
This game is sponsored by Intuit TurboTax. Relax, there's TurboTax.
Micah Hyde with the play. He's got a sack in this game now, an interception. He read it. And here's another look at it.
Well, you're going to see Micah Hyde. He just jumps it. He's anticipating the throw, and he's able to beat Des Bryant, who was going to be the one responsible for blocking him. He just beats him to the punch and is able to undercut that throw.
Hand off to Montgomery, running to the right. Brought down with a gain of 1. Terrell McClain, the first one there.
We see this time after time, these teams, wanting to get the ball out quick, this wide receiver screen, and that's why off of that, then you've got the play where the receiver, as we saw earlier with Jared Cook, that he takes off up the field, but that's just great anticipation and, expecting the play and being right and making a big play, as he's made a few of them now in this ball game.
There's a player down for Dallas. It's Marcus Lawrence, who's been bothered by a bad back. He's already had one back operation, may need another. You said Troy was suspended the first 4 games of the year for violating the league's substance abuse policy, and then missed the last 3 with a bad back. And after a year in which he led the team with 8 sacks, he has only 1, so a minimal impact. Got attention now over to the sideline with under 7 to go, third quarter. 2nd down and 9 for Green Bay. Here's Montgomery, a little juggle as he took the handoff, and he's forced out of bounds by Sean Lee.
Yeah, I saw what you saw, Joe. Rodgers wasn't even looking at the snap. Wow. Yeah, Aaron was not even looking at the snap when the ball was coming. Never had a handle on it. I don't know how Ty Montgomery even made a play on that ball.
Well, Montgomery wasn't looking at it either.
No.
It just ended up in his lap. 3rd and 3. Low snap. Rodgers over the middle. Pass caught. Montgomery, first down. Strong tackle by Barry Church, but Ty Montgomery's got a first down. Let's go down to Chris Myers.
Joe Morris Claiborne, the corner who started his first game today since week 7, is back on the sideline. He went to the locker room with bruised ribs earlier. He had that collision on that last touchdown drive with one of his own players. He had suffered a concussion earlier in the year and a groin injury, but he's questionable the rest of the way with a rib injury that is causing him a lot of pain.
Yellow! Yellow!
Shown by that replay now, first down on a good catch by Ty Montgomery. Here's a quick one to Cobb, and there's Sean Lee playing in his first career postseason game. Didn't play in week 17. That loss at Philadelphia was off last week, and when we had a chance to meet with him Friday, he was about to levitate out of the chair. He was so fired up for this game.
In fact, he was trying to figure out how he was going to spend his next 48 hours so he didn't, exert too much energy. He was ready to play Friday.
2nd and 11. Rodgers steps through trouble. Will pull it down and reach for the first down. Aaron Rodgers doing it all. Lee on the stop, but a gain of 11.
That's such a great job by Rodgers, just knowing what he needed to do and where is it. Looks like he's got the first down, but knowing where he needed to get to pick up the first down and not sliding here and just doing all that he could to make sure he got it. Pretty good awareness on his part.
Yeah, what's the call? 11.
Go.
Quick throw, a little screen for Montgomery, and he runs right into Sean Lee. Young man who grew up in Pittsburgh. He's had a tough time staying healthy, but when he's healthy, he's good. The all-pro linebacker for the Cowboys in his 7th year.
Well, he goes right through TJ Lang to make a play on this ball, and that's awfully good work. He really is an exceptional player. I know he was really disappointed that he didn't get voted into the Pro Bowl, but about a week later, all of a sudden he was announced as an all-pro linebacker. So he's a well-respected guy, and he's had a great year.
2 tackles for loss in this game for Sean Lee. Here's Montgomery right side. Big hit by Barry Church. Hitchens the first to get there, and then Church finished off Montgomery, a gain of 3. And I know we keep saying this, but you just get the sense this is a very important 3rd down coming up. Packers are 5 for 7 converting 3rd downs. We're on the edge of field goal range as it is. And Rodgers has hit on 9 straight. Rodgers throws for Adams and picked off by Heath. Gets up and rolls down the sideline. And Heath gives momentum back to Dallas. The Packers had gone 5 straight without a turnover. A rarity. A Rodgers mistake. Jeff Heath had 1 interception during the regular season. He gets 1 here. Is able to just stay in bounds as they looked at the replay after the takeaway, and the Cowboys start at their own 41, down 15. Elliott. Patience. Now the burst. Flag is down, and Elliott's out of bounds. Packers believe it's against Dallas. It happened out on the edge of that run.
Holding, offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty, and repeat, first down.
It's on Doug Free there, number 68, as he comes out to kick out on Micah Hyde, and Hyde trying to peel off of that, and that's what they got called. But you can see Jeff Heath as he works to the middle of the field. Rodgers recognizes that. He's got a chance to Devontae Adams if he makes a better throw and leads him more over the outside shoulder. But that ball was thrown to the inside, and it allowed Heath to work back and make a play on that ball. And Rodgers, he knew that he just didn't get the ball where he needed to. Could have been a big play. Instead, it's Cowboys the other way.
Snaps the second longest streak all time. First interception for Aaron Rodgers in his last 319 pass attempts. Here's a screen for Elliott. What a nice play made by young Kenny Clark. The rookie first-round pick out of UCLA makes a big play on first down.
He sure does. He just reads it right away, and so he was then there to make a play on Elliott. Number 97 there in the middle, he's able to really just split the gap, and because he recognized that it was screen, and a young guy coming into this league, Kenny Clark, the first-round pick at 20 years old. He's gotten better and better, and he makes a nice play.
So after the interception, the Cowboys have gone backward after the hold. And a loss on that screen. 2nd and 21. Pressure on Prescott. Out to his left he goes. Pass caught. Bryant looking for the sticks. Big play on 2nd and 21. He got all but 2 of them back. A gain of 19.
I don't even think that's who Prescott was trying to throw the ball to. Looked like he was trying to get the ball to Lance Dunbar, and Des Bryant just got in between them and made a play. See Dunbar coming in behind him. But it looked to me like that's where Prescott was trying to go, was to Dunbar, and then all of a sudden 88 shows up.
Under 30 seconds left, third quarter, 3rd down and 2. Pass is caught, contested, but caught by Bryant. And a conversion on 3rd and 2, a gain of 10.
That's really a great catch by Des Bryant, and highly contested, and yet he's able to just get physical at the point of the catch with strong hands and convert the 3rd down.
So there is hope in the seats with these fans here in Arlington. To the 4th we go back after this from your local Fox station. We start the 4th quarter with a first down for Dallas at the Green Bay 41. Here's Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott is good for 5, brought down by Nick Perry. Tonight, the return of a UFC superstar. Hall of Famer BJ Penn is back in the octagon to take on Yair Rodriguez, a rising young gun in the UFC. It's the legend versus the Mexican phenom in a fight you do not want to miss. UFC Fight Night tonight on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. 2nd and 5.
One-on-one down here.
Prescott over the middle's got Williams. Terrence Williams with a first down inside the 20.
They're playing awfully soft. They bring Micah Hyde off the slot. And then you got Kentrell Bryce, who's trying to cover Terrence Williams, and just was nobody there at all. It was nobody, no underneath coverage whatsoever, and a pretty easy pitch and catch for Prescott.
Hand off to Elliott. Waits. Nothing there. And Nick Perry is in there to make the stop. Last time the Cowboys were inside the red zone, they turned it over on the interception by Micah Hyde. Only the third red zone turnover for the Cowboys all season long. Now they're faced with 2nd and 8 on a drive where they need points. 8th play of the drive. In case you're wondering, in their postseason history, and it's a long postseason history, largest deficit overcome for a victory, 18 points. They trailed by 18 earlier in this game. Prescott flushed out, stops, comes back, down he goes, in the arms of Perry. Playing with a club on that left hand, and he finally gets there to bring up 3rd and 14.
That was a good job by just continuing to play. It looked initially like Prescott might find a little crease and pick up a nice gain on the scramble. Perry, he really has had an excellent year and battling through that hand and just finding ways. He and Clay Matthews both playing through injuries.
Hey, God!
3rd down and 14. Prescott finds his man. The catch is made for the first down by Jason Witten. And he knew exactly how far he had to go.
You see the zone coverage, and it's pretty easy stuff. I mean, you allow Jason Witten to come off the line of scrimmage, and no reroute whatsoever, nobody challenging him getting off the line, and they're playing soft in their coverage, and that was too easy. McCarthy, you can't believe it.
Needed 14, got 15. And Dak on this drive, 5 for 5. End zone, touchdown, Witten. And the first career postseason touchdown for the future Hall of Famer.
Demarius Randall, he's really kind of in coverage there with Kentrell Bryce, but off the play action here to Ezekiel Elliott, and Jason Witten just gets in behind it, and easy touchdown for the Cowboys.
This to make it a one-score game again. (28-20). And Dak Prescott, the 23-year-old rookie, takes his team down the field, goes 6 for 6 on the drive. 8-point game. Watch every live 2017 NFL playoff game in HD, all data free on NFL Mobile. Witten with his first postseason touchdown. You see that bottom line. It's points off the rare Aaron Rodgers interception for Dallas. 8-point game. Michael. Not a lot of room along the sideline. The interception belonged to the 25-year-old 4th-year pro Jeff Heath. And then the vet, Jason Witten, from the rookie, Dak Prescott, closes this to an 8-point game. Aaron Rodgers has thrown 2 touchdowns, as has Dak Prescott. Quarterback rating about the same, but it's an 8-point game. Green Bay on top. Trailed early 3-0. It's been Green Bay ever since. Rodgers tripped a bit, now throws, and the pass is caught. Sliding grab by Jared Cook. What an addition he's been.
I mean, there's not many big guys that size that can make this kind of an adjustment to the ball. First of all, Rodgers stumbles coming out, but that's not an easy play to make, and yet he's able to do those kinds of things. He's been a real luxury for Aaron Rodgers this year, and a lot of, you point to the early part of the year when this offense was struggling and when they started to get it going, and Jared Cook's return had a lot to do with that.
Had a high ankle sprain week 3 against Detroit, missed 6 games. Packers are 9-2 when he's been in the lineup. Big pressure by McClain here, and Rodgers has to just throw it away. Hitchens came after McClain, and Rodgers had nowhere to go with the football, so out of bounds it went.
I thought McClain might have even been a little early. He got a heck of a jump off the snap and just pushed the center, Corey Linsley, just right back into Rodgers. See, as soon as Rodgers comes around off of the play fake, he's got his center right in his lap.
Handoff is to Montgomery, and Sean Lee is there for the stop. The legs of Ty Montgomery drives for a 5-yard gain. 3rd down coming. Well, the guy that made that stop is the Cowboys nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, presented by Nationwide. He works hand in hand with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the greater Dallas area. The winner will be announced at the NFL Honors Award show on February 4th at 8 Eastern on Fox. Playing in his first career postseason game. Now 3rd and 5. Rodgers has to pull it down, and down he goes. Barry Church.
Well, the thing that these defensive backs have done, you see Rodgers not happy at all with what happened there. They have gotten physical with the receivers on the outside, and they're trying to throw the slant route. Geronimo Allison, I think it was Anthony Brown, that jumped inside on him when Rodgers was about to turn it loose, and he did not like what the young receiver did to him.
Loss of 10 on the sack. Shum hits a beauty, but into the end zone it goes. So the drive will start at the 20 for young Dak Prescott. 1-score game, 9:14 left. You see the offensive leaders for the Dallas Cowboys. They led 3-0 early, trailed 21-3. It was 21-13 at the half. Trailed 28-13 after 3, but here it's an 8-point game now at 28-20. And the Cowboys will start at their own 20. Elliott right side. Got through a hit by Kenny Clark and picked up 4.
Here's Geronimo Allison, number 81. You see Anthony Brown. He jumps inside. He's anticipating the slant route, and just not much there. These corners have gotten awfully physical, and you see the reaction by Aaron Rodgers. He was directing that at Allison, and whether Allison, he expected him to play through that a little bit more physical, or maybe even a wrong route. But whatever it was, Rodgers not happy with it.
2nd and 6. Prescott. Bryant, what a game he's had, well over 100. Bryce on the stop. Gain of 15 and a 1st down.
Well, Dak Prescott with lots of time in the pocket, and we've talked about it before, that the secondary is pretty beat up, and they have been for much of the year. He's shorthanded again once again today, and when Prescott has had time, there's been people to get the ball to.
Season high 123 yards for Des Bryant. Prescott throws, finds Bryant going backward, and able to hop over that initial tackle. And out of bounds with a gain of 2. It's fun to watch some of these wide receivers around the NFL before games. Obviously, Odell Beckham gets a lot of cameras pointed his way, and Des Bryant the same.
Well, he's so active before these games, even doing things like that, that I'd be a wreck if I was one of those coaches seeing that. #1 wide receiver running around and jumping around, and who knows when you might twist an ankle.
Here's Elliott. What a block he got, tiptoeing down the sideline. Big block by Keith Smith.
Yeah, Keith Smith does a great job of leading the way, and he upends somebody, and it allows Ezekiel Elliott then to get on the edge. And again, I mean, he just continues to, just like the first time these two teams met in October, he continues to get on the perimeter, and the Packers just haven't had much of an answer for it, whether it's someone like Keith Smith making a block or just not filling the proper gaps.
They did move the ball back. You saw where Elliott stepped out. Now he's right up the gut to the 40. And this ground game, eventually they can wear you down with this big offensive line, and it looks like that Green Bay defense is getting worn down.
Yeah, they're getting worn down. That's a big physical offensive line. You see Zach Martin, number 70. He makes a block on Joe Thomas, and Ezekiel Elliott is a tough one to get on the ground, and this is the time of the game where a runner like Elliott and this offensive line, they can take over.
Prescott, Witten, inside the 30, and they're going to give him a first down. Demarius Randall on the tackle, and right now the Dallas Cowboys look like they can't be slowed down like the Packers looked like in the first half.
Yeah, I just think that Dom Capers is really got his hands tied in a lot of ways. I mean, trying to slow down Ezekiel Elliott, and then knowing that they don't match up very well in the secondary against these receivers either.
Darren McFadden checks in for the first time. Next to Prescott. End zone. Butler. Separation. Can't make the catch. Covered by Gunter. It was there, and Butler could not make the grab.
Yeah, this was a perfectly thrown ball by Prescott. And a little bit of a push off there by Butler. They don't get the flag, but that ball should have been caught.
So now 2nd down and 10 with under 6 to go.
Keep going, keep going.
Elliott back in the game for Dallas. Behind Smith, the fullback, and he gets it. This time the Green Bay defense steps up. A gain of just 2, 3rd down and 8 coming.
Well, now you start asking yourself if this is 4-down territory for Jason Garrett.
Well, with Aaron Rodgers on the other sideline, might push you into the direction of 4-down territory. 3rd down and 8. Blitz. Prescott throws to the sideline. Flag. Bryant the target. Gunter in coverage. And it's pass interference against Gunter.
Well, Gunter was in a position to really make an interception.
Pass interference.
Really.
Defense number 36. The ball be placed, a spot of the foul, and an automatic first down.
He had played it pretty well, and he's coming out of it, and if he just is able to locate the football, he's in a perfect position to make an interception. Instead, he runs right through Des Bryant, and now it's first down Cowboys.
At the 15. Elliott. Oh, what a move. Wow, went right around Clay Matthews. And Thomas ends the play without his helmet on. How about that move?
Clay Matthews is right in the hole. Elliott puts the spin move on him, and That's a heck of a run by this rookie running back who has impressed all season long.
2nd and 2. Prescott protected. End zone. Bryant overthrown. You think about a guy like Dak Prescott, a 4th-round pick out of Mississippi State. Grew up in Louisiana, lost his mom Peggy while he was in college to colon cancer. She told him before he passed away, "Let me be your story." All the great ones have a story. And talked about texting of his mother before games. He's been a leader. He stepped into the void created by the injury to Tony Romo during the preseason. Guided this team to a 13-3 record and knocking on the door of an enormous touchdown in this playoff game, trailing by 8. Bryant, touchdown! And now the try for 2 to tie it. The Cowboys are 0 for 2 this season on 2-point tries.
How about that call by Scott Linehan, the offensive coordinator? Everybody in the building expecting them to run the football down here, and they go play action and get the touchdown.
Prescott's going to take it and make it tie game. First the touchdown to Bryant, and then the rookie took it himself through a tackle to tie it at 28. What a game.
Today's game is sponsored by State Farm, here to help life go right.
Well, if the knock on this stadium and opened in 2009 was that it was so big that it wasn't that loud down on the field, I'm here to tell you it's loud. 80+ thousand packed in. A lot of Packer fans here. They travel well. The Cowboy fans now doing all the celebrating. Tie game. And Janis doesn't want to take it out. But now for the Green Bay Packers, they have Rodgers going to work as Jason Garrett's team has tied it. At one point they trailed by 18. See your favorite NFL players show off their impressive talents and strengths and speed. Tune in to the new Pro Bowl Skills Showdown January 26th at 7 Eastern. And don't miss the 2017 Pro Bowl presented by Aquafina on January 29th, both on ESPN. During the break, Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett had this crowd whipped up into a frenzy. Each side with 3 timeouts left. Here we go. The great Aaron Rodgers sets up and throws and gets a drop from Richard Rodgers. And let's go back to the touchdown of Dez Bryant.
We'll go back and take a look at this, and Dez, gets the release, and then it's just a matter of giving him a chance to make a play on the ball. The 2-point conversion, it's a quarterback draw the entire way. Jake Ryan, number 47, he's unblocked. He's got a chance to make a play. 240 pounds, Jake Ryan, but that tells you the size and strength of Dak Prescott to be able to take that on and get it in.
First rookie quarterback with 3 touchdown passes in a postseason game in the Super Bowl era. 2nd and 10. Pass is caught. Davante Adams out across the 40. Working on Brandon Carr, and a gain of 16, and now Adams is down. They'll take a look at Davante Adams. We'll take a break. Big 16-yard completion to number 17 for a first down. Davante Adams really slow to get back to the bench, and you can see with Carr on him, that left ankle got pinned. First down at the 41.
He's in a lot of pain over on that sidelines, and now if you're Aaron Rodgers and you're going to get this done, you're going to be doing it without your top two wide receivers, and Jordy Nelson, of course, and now Davante Adams.
Trevor Davis, a rookie, comes in, and he'll be at the top of your screen. Number 11. On first down, the give is to Montgomery. McLean can't make the stop, and Montgomery gets 9. Sean Lee on the tackle. Coming up on 3 minutes left in the game.
Well, the Packers have been heavy pass today, and now Brian Bulaga, he's banged up as he comes back to the huddle. But when they have run the football, they've had success doing it.
In case you're wondering about Mason Crosby, his career long is 58, which means getting into the 40. And he's made 21 straight during postseason play. That's an NFL record. 2nd and 1. Timeout. Well, it's been heartbreak of late for Mike McCarthy and the Green Bay Packers. All the success in the regular season and a championship at the end of the 2010 season, but back in 2013 they lost a wild card against San Francisco as time expired, 23-20. In 2014 blew a 16-0 lead and lost in overtime at Seattle, and last year lost in a divisional game at Arizona in overtime, 26-20. Mike McCarthy is 9-7 in his postseason career with 4 overtime losses. 2nd down and 1.
It's never easy losing in the postseason, but when you lose games like that, it'll stay with you forever.
Play action. Rodgers will run for the first down. Dives to the 45. And Davante Adams somehow is back on the field for Green Bay.
Yeah, that's good news for Aaron Rodgers and the rest of this team, and a good call there, and the Cowboys selling out to try to play the run, and he keeps it and gets the first down.
And we're at the 2-minute warning. 2 minutes left in this 8th meeting in postseason history between Dallas and Green Bay. 5th divisional round game for the Cowboys since they won it all in '95. They lost in '96 at Carolina. The #1 seed in 2007 lost at home to the Giants, the eventual Super Bowl champions. In '09 in Minnesota lost big. And then 2 years ago in a game that's known as the Des Bryant catch-no-catch game, 26-21 loss to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. So 16 times in 30 seasons prior to 1996, the Cowboys got to the conference championship game. None since. Winner of this game takes on Atlanta. Rodgers throws it, and a flag is thrown. It's Heath on the back end of it, but a flag is thrown. Ty Montgomery was downfield. Heath comes away with a football, but it depends on the call, and it looks like it's against Dallas. That was the early indication.
Well, when Rodgers turned that ball loose, Joe, I don't know that he had seen any kind of contact, just trying to get rid of it with some pressure. And
Cowboys are trying to say the pass wasn't catchable. Here's Tony Correnti.
Pass interference. Defense, number 42. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul and an automatic first down.
It's against Barry Church. And it's pass interference instead of holding, so it's a spot foul, and the Packers are inside field goal range.
I think they got the wrong guy. It was Anthony Brown, 30. That's where the flag came out, was right along that sidelines. And there was a grab right there and a turn. That's the right call.
Mike Pereira agrees. So they called the wrong number. It was against the rookie Anthony Brown.
He was turning up the field to try to make a play on the ball because that's where Aaron was throwing it, and that's...
Now, for some reason, this officiating crew is bringing the ball back to the 35, and we're going to get another announcement.
After discussion, it was determined that the contact for defensive pass interference occurred at the 35-yard line, and that's where the ball will be placed. First down.
So they still get the call, but it cost Green Bay some yardage as they move it back to the 35. But they are inside. The Packers are field goal range for Mason Crosby already, but if you know Aaron Rodgers at all, Mason Crosby in a field goal try is about the farthest thing from his mind right now. Handoff is to Montgomery on first down. Timeout is taken by Dallas, their first.
What both these running backs you'd certainly expect it from Ezekiel Elliott, but Ty Montgomery, he's had some tough runs in this game, and he's done an excellent job of finishing the carries that he's had. The last thing this Packers team wants to do is give the ball back to the Cowboys with any time left on the clock, the way that the Cowboys have been able to move it against this Packers defense.
Second and 8 at the 33. Montgomery brought down by Lawrence. And that's a big play back near the 38, a loss of 5.
Well, they bring in Jason Spriggs as the extra offensive lineman, and he just gets beat inside by DeMarcus Lawrence. There was the Cowboys defensive front. They just won the line of scrimmage, right? There was a lot of pressure in the backfield besides DeMarcus Lawrence.
Dallas just used their second timeout, and so now we are about to see the biggest play of the game so far. A third down coming up, and they're now right on the back end of field goal range for Mason Crosby, where they sit right now.
Well, they got to protect Aaron Rodgers. He can't take a sack, and see if they're able to convert this and take the clock down some more. And of course, this is see what Dallas is able to do. I got to believe that they're going to dial up some pressure and get to them and play physical on the outside. They've had success when they've done that throughout this second half.
There isn't anybody in the league the Packers would rather have the ball in the hands of more than Aaron Rodgers on 3rd and 13. Blitz coming off the edge. Scandrick. Rodgers floats it. Pass is incomplete. And now you're talking about a long field goal try of about 56 yards. That would be a season long for Mason Crosby, and there's still a minute 38 left for the Cowboys, and they get to keep their timeout. Brett Good will snap it. Jacob Shum is the young punter and holder, and this from 56 for the lead. It is good. A knuckler that goes over the crossbar and inside the right upright. And Crosby has now hit 22 straight in the postseason, and this from 56.
What a clutch kick by Mason Crosby from that distance and being able to drill it through with so much on the line.
It's a Green Bay Packer postseason record. And the Packers' all-time scoring leader in regular season and postseason makes Aaron Rodgers celebrate with the long field goal. How about Mason Crosby? 4 years ago, he had a rough season. Mike McCarthy stayed with him, and he has rewarded that patience and that confidence by coming back. And Crosby is regarded as one of the best in the NFL, but 22 straight in the postseason, that's remarkable.
That sure is. I mean, when the games are on the line and you're playing on the highest stage in these postseason games, and for him to be able to deliver like he has, it says a lot.
Not just a Packers record, but the third longest field goal in NFL postseason history. But the Cowboys have time, 1:33 left. And a charged up Crosby drives it out of the back of the end zone. Well, Mr. Prescott, what do you have left? Down 3 with 1:33 remaining. 7 times in NFL postseason history, a team has come back from down 18 points to win. Prescott and the Cowboys were down 18 early in this game.
Well, it's all out in front of him right now. I mean, he's got 1 timeout. He's got time on the clock. And if he's got time in the pocket, and he has had time in this second half, they're not matching up. The Packers are not against these receivers. Cole Beasley, Des Bryant, Jason Witten, they have won continuously.
Prescott, big chunk. Williams fights for it, and the catch near midfield. Working on Josh Hawkins, good for 24. And now the Cowboys will hurry it up.
Josh Hawkins playing soft, and a lot of balls uncontested.
Matthews coming on a blitz. Prescott fires. Witten on the other end. Forward progress to the 40 and a first down, and they're already knocking on field goal range for Dan Bailey. A gain of 11. And they clock it to bring up 2nd and 10. Dan Bailey's career long came this season in week 1. Here he is from about 54 yards. His career long against the Giants, 56 yards, which means getting it to the 38. That's 2 yards from where the ball sits right now. But the Cowboys are thinking game-winning touchdown at the moment, I would think. Prescott, Beasley, the catch, and out of bounds. And now the big 3rd down coming. Beasley for 7.
See Joe Thomas, he's trying to get there to Prescott. He makes a perfect throw then to Cole Beasley, and you see Dallas. You see him try to pick up this 1st down, but I would expect to see a shot down the field at some point.
Prescott got hit as he threw it. Ball's batted down. And now it's 4th down as Nick Perry got up to knock it away. And the field goal unit will come on for Dallas.
That's a big play by Nick Perry because he's got a receiver coming into the middle of the field, and Clay Matthews, they run a game on that left side, and he's able to come in and put a hit on Prescott, but he's got a guy working the middle of the field open if Perry doesn't knock that one down.
Well, when you clock it on 1st down to stop the clock with a timeout in your pocket, you waste 1 down. So they had 2 downs to get 10 yards, couldn't do it. And a 52-yard try coming from Bailey. Bailey knocks it through, tied at 31. And this game has lived up to the hype, and like a great heavyweight fight, now these two teams are trading blows here in the fourth quarter.
And Dan Bailey made that look awfully easy. He just split the middle of those uprights. But plenty of leg to spare.
Second most accurate field goal kicker in the history of the NFL, and Dak Prescott couldn't watch. Mark Sanchez was there to tell him that the game is tied, but now Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, well, he has 35 seconds and 2 timeouts. And we'll see how aggressive Green Bay is with that amount of time and the 2 timeouts.
Well, if he gets anywhere near where, even if they can't get into field goal range, if he gets anywhere near where he can throw a Hail Mary or something, look out. He's been awfully good at those too.
That was the Cowboys postseason record field goal of 52 yards by Bailey, and the drive will start at the 25. Wow. This is the Cowboys' 61st postseason game. They have never gone to overtime in the postseason. And standing in the way of that drama is the great Aaron Rodgers, who wants to end it right here. What do you think?
It's everything that we hoped that it would be, and he's got plenty of time still with the 2 timeouts. The challenge for him has been that the Cowboys have done a good job of mixing things up with the different pressures, and there's not any easy throws. I mean, these guys are all up on these receivers, and so they're not getting easy releases.
On first down, pass is incomplete, and Jared Cook gets up looking for a flag and doesn't get it. Byron Jones, the safety, number 31, was on him.
Really a nicely thrown ball by Rodgers. So many times there's good coverage, by a defensive back, and he's able to throw his guys open, and he puts it on the back shoulder, gives them an opportunity, just unable to make a play.
Just get it away on 2nd and 10. A screen. Montgomery. Room to run. Ty Montgomery forced out by Heath. For the first down out at the 42. 23 seconds remain.
Ty Montgomery has really had a heck of a day, and when he's had the ball, he's done some nice things with it, and even this on the screen, and get it into his hands and see what he's capable of doing. He runs hard. He's able to get through some arm tackles and then get out of bounds and stop the clock.
Pressure. Rodgers is hit and somehow hangs on. It's Heath with a sack. And Rodgers pops up and calls timeout. And with that hit, Aaron Rodgers, a brilliant job to hang on to the football.
Yeah, I'm with you. When Heath came in and made the hit, it looked like the ball was going to come out. And for him to be able to secure it, that's a huge play by Aaron Rodgers off the sack. The breakdown there on that left side of the offensive line, Heath was not disguising what he was doing. He was up on the end of the line and showed that he was coming, and just failed to sort through it and pick him up.
Gets that big hit, then spins around onto a knee, calls timeout. Now 18 seconds left. 2nd and 20. Three-man rush. Rodgers out to his right. Pass is broken up off the hands of Cook. Now 12 seconds left. 3rd and 20. Byron Jones defending, and Byron Jones has seen a lot of Jared Cook.
I couldn't tell if Byron Jones got his hand in there or not, Joe, but it was certainly a well-placed ball, and that would have put him in a great position Yeah, that's he's got his arm in there, but tough miss. But right now you're looking at about 25, 27 yards or so where they need to get to give themselves a chance.
They're also looking at the play clock down to 3. Rodgers spins to his left. Comes underneath, and the pass is incomplete, out of bounds. Now they say complete. The official, the second one, came in and overruled the other, Jared Cook, and with 3 seconds left, the Packers are going to have a chance to win it.
That is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. The first official came down the sideline and said incomplete. The official from behind the play said the catch was good, and he was right.
Wow, Jared Cook, he knows where he is, and he's able to keep his feet in, and the throw that Rodgers is able to make, moving to his left.
Unbelievable. 36 yards on 3rd and 20, and by inches, Jared Cook keeps his feet in bounds and makes the catch. And that was a good overrule and a good catch by Jared Cook. And now you're talking about a 50-yard field goal try by Mason Crosby to win the game. Unbelievable.
Pretty amazing. They go to Jared Cook a couple times. He's unable to make a play, and then there he's, as a big man, knowing exactly where he was, and he gives Rodgers a place with the ball, and what a throw by Rodgers to even get it to him and him to keep his feet in play.
Well, there wasn't a Hail Mary from the Hail Mary master, but it was 36 yards. Pinpoint accuracy on 3rd and 20. Incredible. This guy every week, every year, does things that other quarterbacks just can't do. And it is never over with number 12 out on the field.
Tell you what, he's been doing it, you know, with it's been tough. They came out here the first 3 drives and did a heck of a job moving the football, coming away with touchdowns. It's been tough sledding, you know, really since that time.
So booth review, Mike Pereira down to our right says the catch is good.
And I'll tell you, I think it's an exceptional call by Robbie Bernacchi, the side judge, who had to overrule the head linesman to make this call. And, you know, these are so tight. You got to look at feet. You got to look at ball. Did he maintain possession when he hit the ground? He did. Just a great call.
We'll get the call now.
After review, the ruling on the field of a completed pass is confirmed. It will be Green Bay's ball at the 33-yard line, first down.
Now remember, Dallas has a timeout, so we'll see if they use it to further ice Mason Crosby. But Mike Pereira, you saw what I saw. One official coming down that was on the front side of the play was motioning incomplete, and then he was overruled, and what a great piece of work that was.
And it is Rob Bernacchi's call, the side judge. He sees it all from his angle.
They moved it back to the 35. Now it's a 51-yard try to win it, but a timeout is taken before the kick. And they just got it in before the snap.
Timeout, Dallas. This is their 3rd and final timeout of regulation.
The kick was good. It's a 51-yard try, but it doesn't count. Watch Jason Garrett up on the top near the official, and before the snap, he gets the timeout. Clear. So now Mason Crosby, who hit from 56 for a Packer record, hits from 51, but it doesn't count. He's going to have to do it again.
He sure is, and he sure nailed that one. It was a perfect snap and hold, and he drilled it.
This to send the Packers into the NFC Championship game. It is good. The Packers are moving on. Aaron Rodgers has done it again. And Mason Crosby, a hero for Green Bay. 3rd down, Troy, and 20 and under 20 seconds to go, and you're thinking after the sack, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers are going to think about overtime. They end up completing the pass to Jared Cook on a brilliant throw, and Mason Crosby absolutely clutch in this 4th quarter.
That ball, when it was kicked, Joe, it looked like it was starting to tail off to that left side with a little bit of a hook, and then it just seemingly straightened back out and got inside that left upright. Mason Crosby, with ice running through his veins, comes through.
So they officially moved that ball back on the completion to Jared Cook. It goes down as a 35-yarder to set up the game-winning field goal. Aaron Andrews, all yours.
Well, you just said that was fun. Take me through what was really fun with that 3rd and 20. By the way, they said it was a 35-yard catch by Jared Cook, not a 36-yard. What are you thinking as he's in by inches?
Well, I mean, it's a great catch by Jared. You know, we took a timeout after that sack and tried a couple last 8 plays that we have. I mean, it's just kind of schoolyard at times late in the game like that. Lane did a great job. He's out there protecting me. Jared just kept on coming. I tried to put it in a good spot. He made a hell of a catch. And then Mason makes the kick twice. Unbelievable.
All right. Well, you're headed to Atlanta. We did that matchup earlier in the year. Shootout. Great game. I mean, what are your thoughts as you get set to take on the Falcons?
We're just going to enjoy this game. We're going to enjoy the heck out of this game. Unbelievable effort. I mean, what a game. What a game. Well, we're going to celebrate this. Then we're going to move on to Atlanta. Matt's had a hell of a season. They've got a good defense, so we're just going to enjoy this right now.
Are you breathing at all? I saw you pacing quite a bit. You breathing?
Barely.
All right, Joe, back up to you.
All right, Aaron, thank you. Congratulations to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. The Dallas Cowboys kept on coming, but we know this. On NBC tonight, that matchup with the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Kansas City Chiefs on the air at 8:20 Eastern. That's when the game begins. And then next Sunday, the early game, the Green Bay Packers at the Atlanta Falcons. 2 high-powered offenses. And then the winner of that game tonight at New England in the AFC Championship game. Wow. The State Farm postgame show is coming up. What a show these 2 teams put on in Arlington, Texas. Congratulations, Green Bay. You're moving on.